Academic Arts test prep. Let's start out with a test prep self-check. A few questions. Do you wait to the last minute to prepare for a test or a quiz? Do you spend the night before the test cramming for the exam? Stay up all night, or do you just start studying right before the test starts, sitting in class? I've seen all of those things. What about when you get a bad result on a test? Do you review those bad results? What about your notes and the books that you're supposed to read before the exam? Do you just reread them? Reread your notes and reread the readings? And last question is, do you make self-quiz questions? Do you quiz yourself? Let's talk about test prep. I'm Professor Joseph Polshok, and this is Academic Arts. First thing is about scheduling. You should schedule your test prep. So don't wait till the last minute to prepare for a test. We call this cramming or massed practice, and it doesn't work for long-term retention. Would you like it if your doctor studied this way for an exam? You want your doctor to know his stuff. You want your doctor to know her stuff. So mass practice and cramming is not the best way. And I'll talk about better ways in the slides that come. But you want to get started by studying on a schedule. So see the video on the schedule and the chain and plug into your schedule your study times so that when the test comes, you'll be ready. You'll have already studied for many days. So put it in a schedule and consistently prepare for your quizzes and tests. And we also want to learn from our mistakes. What if you get a bad score on a test? Is it the end of the world? No. So you can review your test results. You can find out what went wrong, and you can learn from your mistakes. You can also talk to your teacher about it and try to learn. But don't say to yourself, oh no, I'm bad at this, because the mistakes are just showing you how you need to improve, what you need to study more. Let's talk about reading or rereading and reviewing your notes. So rereading the books and reviewing your notes. What happens when you just reread and review your notes or readings? What happens? What happens is that you feel familiar with, oh yeah, I've seen this before. You feel familiar with the information, but you don't know it. So just rereading and just reviewing can actually be a kind of like self-deception. Oh, I think I know this, but actually you don't. Instead, it's better to self-quiz. In fact, experts suggest that you make self-quiz questions based on your readings and your notes. So you quiz yourself, you make questions, and you try to answer those questions with flashcards, for example. And you want to focus on the most important information. You might need to ask the teacher what that is, or you can look at it and think, what's the most important thing I need to remember for this quiz or test? And then it's important to use these flashcards with retrieval and spaced repetition. So retrieval means that you ask yourself the question, what is retrieval? On the flashcard, and then the other side of the card. Before looking at it, don't look at it. What is retrieval? Retrieval is when I remember information, recall information from memory without looking at my notes. All right, and then spaced repetition is as you start to forget that information, just as forgetting starts, you do the same thing again. You try retrieval with your flashcards and self-quizzing. Let's talk about learning science for a few minutes. I like to summarize learning science about study with the words rise and go. So rise stands for retrieval, interleaving, spacing, and elaboration. With retrieval, you recall or remember information, pull information from memory, right? Interleaving is mixing up, shuffling things. It also includes shuffling not just flashcards, but different topics and different lectures. For example, for a final exam, you could shuffle and interleave, mix all 3 chapters together. It makes it more difficult, but produces longer lasting results. Spacing refers to the idea that as you start to forget, there's a space of time you start to forget, and just as forgetting starts, you practice retrieval again. Elaboration is this idea that you try to put the ideas that you're learning into your own words and relate it to what you already know. And then generation and opining positively. So generation is this idea that you hear a question, but try to answer it before you're given the answer. It's a guess, but it's learning, and then you basically learn by trial and error, by mistakes. And opining positively is having a positive opinion about yourself and saying, I can do this. Even if I make a mistake, I can still learn. I can learn from my mistakes. I can do it. And as you study, remember to take care of both your body and your mind. Get enough rest and get exercise. Eat well. Sleep well, right? Study together with your friends. Work together, and you can quiz each other in the same way I just mentioned. And also always remember that you can learn from your mistakes. So that is all I have about test prep. This is Professor Joseph Polshok, Academic Arts. Thank you for listening.